Sir, my question was that, under this by IDDM, the category which is coming up new, one of the things is determining the indigenous content. Now, whenever, some companies make a claim that, we have done 70% indigenization, 80% indigenization, they typically say that if I procure from an Indian vendor on Indian rupees, I don't consider it imported content. So there are cases in which the Indian vendor has import content of almost 90% or 80%, but that is considered as indigenous procurement. So, sir, our submission is, DIIA's position is this, that foreign exchange outflow, no matter how far removed it is from the procurement, should be considered as imported. The country has suffered foreign outflow. So it doesn't matter if, suppose if I buy a computer in which an internal motherboard is there, it should be considered as imported. It doesn't matter if there are 10 guys. So given this situation, the first thing we will have to do is facing the reality. Now my 70% becomes 30%. Will I be able to face reality? So how do we do that, sir? Number one, facing the reality with respect to indigenous countries, sir. Number two was, sir, how are you, because you lead our all the firms. So what is your idea? How are you going to push people into doing more R&D? We say the IP content is almost 70% of a high technology product, and 30% is only manufacturing. So how do we ensure that the companies do more R&D, sir, and do genuine indigenous content is increased?
First, I think his question is about indigenous content. We have given a format in the DPP 2013 itself. It was a part of DPP 2013, and we are retaining that as it is, which gives the contours how we are going to calculate the indigenous content. And as Mr. Atluri has pointed out, we are going to capture not only from the first year, we are going to capture in the all 3 years. So if it is not the question of payment in the Indian rupee or the what we are paying, ultimately anything which gets imported will have to be captured. So our indigenous content is not in the first layer itself. We will go to the down also, down to the second and third layer also. So that is a challenge. That is a challenge, but of course, I mean, if somebody does 90% import and does 10% value addition and supplies in Indian rupee, doesn't mean that it is 100% indigenous content. That is not the idea, and that is not the way we will calculate the indigenous content. So there is a format. I think if you go to the format, it will be clear how ultimately we are going to capture the indigenous content. So nobody can take refuge in that I am taking the Indian rupee and whatever I am importing should not be counted as a import. So that will be taken care of. Second, how to promote the indigenous design. That exactly is the idea of this IDDM category. And that is the most preferred category. I think this is clear. In IDDM we are putting 40% indigenous content. And if somebody is not taking advantage of the IDDM, if he doesn't claim that it is an indigenous design, then he can compete with 60% indigenization. I hope we have put more indigenous content in non-IDDM item under the same category. I think this is clear, because we presume that somebody who has got indigenous design may not have fully matured and fully commercialized the entire thing. But if somebody is claiming that my product is Indian, it can qualify under, it can compete with the IDDM, then we say, okay, then give us 60% indigenous content. So some higher limit of indigenous content has been put in case he wants to compete with the, indigenous design in the IDDM category. I mean, both are parallel. One vendor may say 60% indigenous content under IDDM, and one person may say 40% indigenous content with indigenous design. So these two things are parallel. And then our second category of Buy Indian starts. It's not part. So I mean, you have to be very careful about this. That IDDM has got two ways of approaching. One with the indigenous design, with lesser indigenous content, and second with higher indigenous content. Now, this is the way we are going to promote the indigenous designing. Second, we have done a lot of modification in our make procedure itself. Morning at 10 o'clock I had a meeting on the make procedure. That is how I have finished that also, and I came from there. We have identified around 24 projects, Army, Navy, Air Force put together, and we will be taking these projects forward. So what we have discussed in the morning, we will have an interaction with the industry where we will explain to them in detail the contours of the make project. I still feel that industry is not fully clear about all the elements of the make procedure. We have given the press release, we are telling in the various seminars, but still I think we need to have one-to-one interaction with the industry where everything can be clarified. That is one part, because a lot of things have been done for the MSMEs. There are three categories basically. In category 1 will be funded by the government, where 90% funding will be done. And in category 2, if the developmental prototype cost is less than 10 crores, up to 10 crores, then MSME will be given preference. If MSME does not come forward, then it will be thrown open to the non-MSME sector. And there is a third category also, where up to 3 crores, if the cost of the prototype is up to 3 crores, then it will be reserved for the MSME, but it is industry funded. So what I want to say, similarly in the eligibility criteria also, a lot of relaxations have been given to the MSMEs. So make procedure has been totally reoriented towards the MSMEs, because we feel that unless ecosystem gets developed, we will not be able to have big integrators in India. Why big integrators are not coming? Because they find that ecosystem is not there. Ecosystem can only come through the MSMEs. So a lot of emphasis has been given now in the for the promotion of MSMEs in the make procedure, which is a part again of the DPP.